Today I'll be reviewing a brand new 2023 Nissan Altima, which has been refreshed for this year. The Altima receives brand new looks on the outside, revised wheels, and even more features on the inside. All right, I'm behind the wheel, so let me tell you more about this brand new Altima and tell you about how it drives. First of all, let's just talk about this refresh. Starting with the exterior, because the front end does look different. It is a refresh, it's not a complete redesign. So versus the previous grille from the 2022 model, still looks very similar. It's hard to tell unless you really put the two next to each other. But I will say this, the V-Motion grille is now bigger. There's more presence to it. And with this SR, everything inside the grille is black. I like the look. It's a sleek, sinister look. I like it. So just know that the grille is even bigger. The headlights have also been redesigned, although it's hard to tell unless you're putting the two cars next to each other. It's hard to tell. And of course, the bottom bumper has been revised because of the new grille. I would say this is a good looking midsize sedan. If you move to the side, the overall profile of the Altima has not changed, so it still looks like a big midsize sedan. Now the wheels have changed for this year, and the ones that come with this SR 19-inch alloy wheels, I like the look. They definitely do look good, and this Altima has a nice presence overall. There's really nothing to be complaining about. And then you move to the back, a little tame, not nearly as aggressive as the front end, that's for sure. You do get dual exhaust tips if you do have the VC turbo trim, which is the one I'm driving today. I'll talk more about that engine in a little bit, but you do get dual exhaust tips in the back, but still they're kind of hidden underneath. They're not that noticeable, and the rest of the back end is kind of like bland. So the thing about this Altima is, even with this refresh, it does look very aggressive up front, but everywhere else is kind of like okay. But here's the thing, the good news is the new Honda Accord has been so toned down, it no longer looks sporty, so there's that. And then the new Camry, which is really the old Camry, hasn't changed. I guess that means it's an automatic win for the Altima in terms of looks. Now on the inside, the safety features have been upgraded, so now it's the latest suite of safety features. Can't really show you that. But what you can see is this optional 12.3-inch infotainment system. So it is absolutely massive. It is optional. It is not standard, but this one works a whole lot better. It's obviously much bigger. The responsiveness is really good. Even though this has been upgraded years ago, I mean, it was still kind of laggy to me. But this one in here is actually pretty good. Scrolls very well. When I click into a menu, it's pretty good. It has all the latest stuff, so Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, hotspot capability, even Alexa all built in. I like the widget screen also, looks very modern. It'll even tell you where the closest gas station is by default, and more importantly, how much gas is. And that's important because gas these days, quite a lot. And then of course your weather and all these apps, right? So overall, I think this is a good screen. Very easy to navigate, and there is a big volume knob right underneath it, so that's good. The only downside to this screen is, and I'm not even sure it's a screen problem, is the reverse camera. So as you can see, when you put the Altima in reverse, you see only like 2/3 of the screen, and then the 2/3 are split up between what's behind you and kind of like a 360 view, which is great. But the camera quality just really sucks. It looks like it's the same cameras from 20 years ago. So I don't know why Nissan decided to give you such a beautiful screen, but such a horrible reverse camera. Now, as for the rest of the interior, I think it's a good look. There is a lot of carbon fiber on the dash, and it's obviously fake. So I don't know how I feel about it. I guess it looks okay. There's a good use of aluminum in here on the door panels, center console, on the dash. I think overall it's an elegant design. It's not the best, it's not class leading, but it's definitely not toward the bottom either. So somewhere in the middle. And I do like how this right in front of you, from the screen down to the climate controls, and by the way, you do get heated seats and heated steering wheel with this SR trim, but unfortunately there's no ventilated seats up here. But the way it goes down, and then you have a couple USB ports, a wireless charger, right? And then going down to the center console, I mean, it's clean. There's not a whole lot of buttons. There are some cars, there's just like too much going on. It's very clean. You have a push button start, very noticeable. You have a normal shifter, which is so rare these days. Every car now uses some kind of rotary or button style shifting. This is a normal shifter and it just works. A couple of cup holders, right? I mean, this is a really simple design. And one thing I do like about the USB ports is Nissan is giving you one USB-C and one USB-A. USB-A is the one that most of us are used to, right? We have so many cables out there, and most of the cables are probably USB-A, and I hate it with the new cars. I can't use them. All the new cars use USB-C, right? So I like how Nissan actually thought of us and put one USB-C and one USB-A up front, and the same thing with the rear passengers. Rear passengers also get the same kind of setup, so I love that. Nissan definitely thought this one out. Other features that you get inside include power sunroof, although it's not panoramic. Also, you get a large 7 or 8 inch screen inside your digital gauge cluster. Now, this is pretty much repurposed because all the other Nissans have it, but it works. You have 2 analog gauges, obviously your tachometer, speedometer, and inside the middle, you can scroll through a variety of things, so your safety system and your media, navigation, all your menu settings and stuff like that. Again, it's not the best, it's not the worst. It's just kind of like, okay, somewhere in the middle. Something else that I do like about this Altima are the seats. It's really hard to describe, but there's a real softness to the very first inch of the cushion. So when you sit inside, you feel this very soft cushion. So it's a different vibe, and it's the same up front and in the rear. I have tried many seats, and traditionally speaking, Nissan seats are great because they're NASA inspired seats, zero gravity seats. But these are a little bit different. Of course, they are leather, and I do like the look. There's, orange inlay inside, and then you can see the white and orange stitching, which I think looks pretty good. The trunk is actually pretty big. It's very big. And I love how there's built-in hangers. So if you want to hang bags of groceries, Nissan has you covered. I love that. I don't know why that's such a big surprise. All the other sedans I've reviewed do not have those, but this Altima does, which is really great. And of course, you can fold down the second row seats to generate more room for longer things and bigger things. And the seats, they actually go down quite a lot. The hump for the seat back is actually not as apparent, or not as tall, I guess, as some of the other sedans I've tested. So actually pretty good back there. Now, what about the drive? Well, first of all, this is the SR trim. So SR is supposed to be like the more sporty trim. So the suspension is supposed to be more sporty. But I say supposedly because driving around, I don't really feel like this is a sporty drive. I'm just gonna be honest. Okay, so if you're expecting this to be sporty, you're going to be disappointed. However, if you're expecting a comfortable ride, then you're in for a treat because this Altima is actually very comfortable. Also, it's very quiet in here. Nissan did a really good job insulating the cabin. It is very quiet. Very little from the outside, very little from cars passing by or the wind. Yeah, it's just very comfortable, very quiet. And also the road noise, very quiet too. So Nissan did an excellent job with sound insulation inside here. Okay, it was a surprise. First of all, going up to about 20 miles per hour was pretty slow. Then you could tell the turbo boost kicked in, and then it got up pretty quickly, up to about 40 miles per hour. And then from 40 to 60, it got real slow again because the CVT transmission definitely was holding this car back. So it's weird. So if you're trying to floor it, you start out slow, then you feel the torque, and then it gets slow again. quite weird. Now, there are two engines to choose from. Doesn't matter if you choose the base 2.5 liter natural aspirated 4-cylinder or this turbocharged 4-cylinder, you're getting a CVT transmission. Well, the standard one is a 2.5 liter natural aspirated, producing about 182 horsepower. The good thing about it is you can select all-wheel drive. So that's one difference between the Altima and everyone else, is you can't select all-wheel drive, okay? But if you don't, it's front-wheel drive. And you could choose the VC Turbo, which is a 2-liter turbocharged engine, producing close to 250 horsepower and over 270 pound-feet of torque. This is the type of engine that I miss on the new Accord. The new Accord removed basically all powerful options, and you're stuck with hybrid for fuel efficiency. Now, for the Camry, you do still have that V6, right? That's very not fuel efficient. So this one, I'm glad that Nissan still gives you the option. If you want max fuel efficiency, you go with the non-turbo engine. But if you want some power and still pretty good fuel economy, then you go with this VC Turbo. But the drawback is you can't select all-wheel drive. You have to get front-wheel drive in order to get this engine. So if that's a determining factor, then you have to stick with the base engine. Now, as for the steering, unfortunately, the steering is quite sloppy and not all that great. You could see on camera right now, there's like an inch or two play in the steering wheel before I feel it with the car, which is not a good thing. Okay, so it's a very soft feel. It doesn't feel very precise. So the steering is quite sloppy. Now, the good news is the steering wheel is great. I love the flat bottom steering wheel. The thickness is good. The leather feels good. The orange stitching looks good. You get paddle shifters in here, but it's really unnecessary. And you have a few buttons in here that's pretty easy to understand. So the steering wheel itself is good, but the steering itself is sloppy, kind of like the sport suspension. Supposedly, you have sport suspension, but it doesn't feel sporty in here at all. Now the throttle and brake pedal feel, both are good. Pretty normal, linear feel, so no surprises with them at all. So as for pricing, there are 5 different trim levels to the brand new Altima. The base, which is the S, comes in above $26,000 after destination charges. Then you have the SV, the SR, the SL, and finally the SR with the VC turbo engine, and that's the one I'm driving today. Now that one is the range topping, and expect to pay above $36,000 for this SR with the VC turbo. But if you could live with a smaller engine, you could still get the SR for about $28,700. So you're talking about almost $8,000 less. And keep in mind, with the VC turbo engine, you can't get all-wheel drive. So overall, am I a fan of this brand new Altima? This is a tough one. This is a tough one because I have driven the brand new redesigned Accord, and I thought that was a fantastic sedan. But I didn't like the fact that Honda's now pushing hybrid only. Camry is just really outdated. Has not been changed for a long time. I think Nissan did a lot of good things with this Altima. But if I had to choose, would I choose this above the Accord or even the Camry? If I'm being honest, the answer is no. So overall, what are your thoughts about this brand new Altima? Leave them in the comments below, and make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.